No matter your age, whether you are a younger person, maybe you're fresh out of high school or fresh out of college, or someone who's just getting started with their career and you're in your 20s, or you're a more seasoned professional who's maybe in their 50s and up, every single person has value, okay? Let me just start there. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the official Thompson Resume Writing Company YouTube channel, where I share weekly tips and hints on how to update, refresh, and or prepare your resume and LinkedIn profile for your job search, along with some career advice, some job search tips, and some personal stories of my own. I am Tamika Thompson. I am the owner and resume writer at Thompson Resume Writing Company, and I specialize in transforming bland, lackluster resumes and LinkedIn profiles into powerful selling tools that help corporate mid-level, management, and executive professionals land interviews 2 times faster. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and I'm so happy that the algorithm slid my video into your feed so that you can come across my channel. I hope that you enjoyed this video enough to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below, or at least give me a like, because come on now. If you are a returning subscriber or a returning viewer, thank you so much for always staying in tune with my uploads and showing my content some love. For today's video, I'm going to be giving you several ways and several tips on how to hide or conceal your age on your resume to combat or prevent ageism during your job search. Let's get right into it. Now, I hate that I have to even make a video on this, but unfortunately, experiencing ageism during your job search is definitely a thing, and unfortunately, it does happen quite often. And it's not just older professionals who experience it either. No matter your age, whether you are a younger person, maybe you're fresh out of high school or fresh out of college, or someone who's just getting started with their career and you're in your 20s, or you're a more seasoned professional who's maybe in their 50s and up, every single person has value, okay? Let me just start there. You should not be ashamed of your age for any reason. Everybody, regardless of your age, has something to bring to the table, period. If you're not familiar with the term ageism, let me go ahead and give you a quick overview or a quick description so that you know what it means. So ageism is basically when you are denied an opportunity or you experience discrimination during your job search or throughout the hiring process based on your age. Some ageist stereotypes for older professionals include that you can't teach a dog new tricks, so maybe older people have a harder time learning, or that they're past their prime, or that they're set in their ways. With younger professionals, some stereotypes that are out there about them include that they are not coachable, that they are difficult to manage, that they are high maintenance, and that they are going to want more money starting out. Either way, no one has the right to assume anything about you as a professional, or your skills, or your competencies, or your knowledge based on your age. That's just not okay. During a survey that was conducted by Flexjobs back in 2019, 75% of participants did say that they experienced some form of age-based discrimination either in the interviewing process or in the hiring process by being forced to submit age-related information on an application, or by being forced to answer age-related questions in an interview, which again is so not cool. And a study that was conducted by AARP, 61% of participants in that study did say that they had experienced age-based discrimination at some point in their lives, which is it just makes me so sad. You should be proud of your age no matter what, no matter the number, as long as you are alive and well and you're healthy and you're taking care of yourself and you're learning and you're evolving. That is something to be proud of within itself. But while you know your age and you're proud of your age, you may not want HR managers and recruiters to be able to guess your age when they are looking at your resume, and you definitely don't want to fall victim to age discrimination at all. So without further ado, here are some ways that you can hide your age on your resume so that you don't fall victim to age discrimination and no one can rule you out of a hiring process or an interview process based on your age. Here we go. Number 1 is to remove graduation dates. So think your high school graduation year. Think the year that you graduated college. Think the year or the month and the year that you completed a certification or a course. Any type of date that indicates when you completed or finished any type of program or educational accomplishment at all needs to be taken off. Your high school graduation year is especially important to remove. Think about it. When someone graduates from high school, they're typically either 17, 18, maybe 19 years old. That is a key way that they are able to determine how old you are. All you have to do is take the current year and subtract the year that you have on your resume that you graduated from high school, and instantly like that, they're able to determine how old you are. So your high school graduation year is the one especially that you want to make sure that you do not have on there. College graduation years can vary. If you went to college straight after high school and maybe you have both dates on there, so your high school graduation year and your college graduation year, and there's a 4-year gap in between there, again, they can do the math and try to calculate your age right away. So either date, make sure that you have them off. Now, I understand that there are special circumstances, such as people who went back and got their GED maybe a little bit later, and if you went to college a little bit later, and they may not know that, but you do not want to give them any indication of what your age may be. So make sure you have those dates taken off. And this is not to say that you shouldn't be proud of whenever you graduated high school or graduated college or finished your certification program. That's not the point. Absolutely be proud. But again, our goal is to make sure that they're not able to dictate how old we are or our age on our resume. So for that reason, you want to take those dates off. It's very easy to do some simple math, and we don't want them, trying to add up the numbers and subtract this and that to try to figure out how old you may be. If you have a recruiter who is asking for your high school graduation year or asking for your college graduation year or asking for some sort of a program completion date or year, you do not have to answer them. Now, if you're in the medical field or if you're in the law field, there are some different stipulations to that, but during the interview process, that's not something that you have to answer. That is information that you should be submitting along with the appropriate documentation, such as your diploma or your degree, once you get hired and once you get the job for paperwork and onboarding processes. But they should not be asking you or demanding you that information or demanding that you give them that information during the interview. Number 2 is to use a modern design and layout for your resume. Now, this boils down to the font that you're using, the way that it's structured, and the design of the document overall. Old school resumes tend to be in all black and white. They tend to be in one page. They tend to use Times New Roman font, which is just so bulky and so blocky. And they also started with objective statements. And I did make a really interesting video on this. If you want to check it out, go ahead and click here to view my videos on different ways that resumes back then were different from resumes now. So resumes now can absolutely have some pizzazz, a little bit of zhuzh, a little bit of extra paprika on it, because y'all know I love me some paprika. So you can add different things to the document today to make it stand out. So think borders, shading, shadows, graphs that communicate your value, the things that you have improved, the things that you have added to the company, and you can also add color to it. And in terms of font, instead of using Times New Roman, use something smooth and something easy on the eye and something that doesn't take up a lot of space, such as Arial, Garamond, Georgia, or Calibri. Those are my top faves. And last on this list is to please make sure that you are not trying to cram all of your experience and all of your job history on one page. Resumes today can definitely be more than one page, but 2 is the absolute maximum. If you're going past 2 pages, that's when you may want to review the information that's on it to make sure that it's all relevant and that it's all value-based information that is on there. But please do not try to cram all of your experience on just that one page, because that is one way that they can tell that you may not be up to speed with current resume trends. Number 3 is to only go back 10 to 12 years in your experience and in your background. So for my professionals who are maybe in their mid-30s and up, you may have up to 15 years or more of experience on your resume. And that's awesome. You've been hustling, you've been climbing the ladder, you've been getting new experiences, you may have had a career pivot, but not all of that 15 to 20 years or more of experience needs to be documented on your resume. The length of your job history can absolutely be a dead giveaway on your resume, and you want to make sure that you avoid this by not going back back 10 to 12 years. So as an example, it's 2022 right now. Let's say you have a job on your resume from back in 1991. Obviously, they can easily do the math and, you know, say, okay, subtract 1991 from 2022 and figure this person may be, or you may be around this age. Again, you don't want them doing any type of calculations. You don't want to give any giveaways about how old you may be. So only go back 10 to 12 years. So think 2012, but no further back than 2010 at the very most. And only going back 10 to 12 years on your resume makes it easier for you to stay within that 2-page length that we just talked about. Number 4 on this list is to not use outdated terminology, verbiage, and phrases. So you know how it is when you're talking to somebody who may be a little bit older than you and they have those sayings that they say and you're just like, oh my goodness, that is so old school. Where recruiters feel the same way when they're looking at resumes of more seasoned professionals or of resumes of people who have not kept up to date with the times. So try to stay away from words such as best of breed, synergy, again, starting out that resume with an objective statement, staying away from listing outdated or old systems and software such as AOL or Hotmail. Another word that comes to mind is word processing, because I remember having that on my resume heavily about 20 years ago because having that word on there was like the thing, but it is not the thing now. Also avoid putting too many adjectives on your resume or fluff statements such as driven, hardworking, ambitious, results driven, things like that. That's definitely old school. Like back in the day, a lot of resumes started out with someone being like a hardworking, dedicated, reliable professional. Don't do that. Today, you want to start your resume off with a hard-hitting professional summary that has some adjectives, but it's more so focused on value terms and value-rich statements that really communicate what you bring to the table. So nothing along the lines of, you know, hardworking, dedicated professional looking to secure a position in this company so that I can grow and advance my skills. None of that, because that's old school. Today, that is not going to fly. You need to have a professional summary, and I did record a video on this. You can go ahead and click here to get some tips on how to write a professional summary for your current resume in 2022. Number 5 is to remove companies who may no longer be in business or companies that were really big back in the day but are not really around anymore from your resume. The companies that you've worked for in the past can also be a dead giveaway of your age, especially if that company has filed bankruptcy or is no longer big anymore, or maybe they shut down quite some time ago. So think brands such as Circuit City, Toys R Us, Carson's, Borders, Blockbuster, Marshall Fields, and things of that sort. So this is not to say that you shouldn't have been proud to work at those companies, especially during their peak, because the names I just mentioned were huge back then, okay? Like major. But today, they are no longer around. The only reason why you would want to keep companies such as that on your resume is if you have a very large employment gap or a large gap on your resume where you have not worked in quite some time and you don't have any recent experience. But if you do, yes, be proud that you worked at Carson Pirie Scott back in 1987 when they were like one of the top department stores back then. But unfortunately, because those brands are either no longer around or they've lost their zhuzh, it really doesn't hold as much weight on your resume as you may think it does. So do yourself a favor and go ahead and take it off. Number 7 is to remove your full address. Now, we are in a completely digital first world. No one is going to come to your house to interview you for this job. They are not going to mail you anything in particular. So you can go ahead and take your full address off. And this can actually be another sign that you are not privy or up to date on current resume trends. I did talk about this in another video that I posted to my channel. You can go ahead and check it out here. It talks about 9 things that you can leave off of your resume now and forever, and your full address is one of them. All you need to do today is to have your city, your state, maybe your zip code listed, but you do not need to have your full street address along with the city, along with the state. And oh my goodness, if you spell out the state. I actually had a client come to me last month, and on her existing resume, we're working on revamping it now, she actually had like the full city and the full state typed out on there, and that's how I knew, girl, you have not been, or you have not touched this resume in a while. Now, some people don't like to include any location information on their resume at all, especially if they're trying to land a remote position. I do advise against this. You do want to give the employer some sort of an idea of where you may be located and where you reside. Again, you don't have to give the full street address, especially because you don't want them trying to figure out like how far you are from the office or how far you may be from wherever you may be potentially commuting to. All you need to do is list the city and the state, and that is it. But take off your whole home address, because no one is coming to see you in this hiring process. Like, why? Why do you have it on there? Last on this list, number 7, is to pretty please take off hobbies. Now, again, hobbies were a thing back on old school resumes. Like, after people listed all of their information, their job information, their skills, their education, at the very bottom, they would have like hobbies and things that they would like to do in their spare time. In today's day and age, that type of information on a resume is wasted space. Definitely do not need it on there. If it's not related to the job, it does not need to be on there. Now, if they ask you in your interview, do you have any hobbies? What do you like to do outside of work? Then you can go ahead and provide that information either over the phone or during the virtual interview, but there's no reason why you should have hobbies on your resume. It's great, and it's even sweet that you love, volunteering at your local animal shelter, or that you love long walks on the beach while the sun sets. But what the heck does that have to do with you being able to do this job? Leave it off. Keep your resume down to what matters most, what is the most valuable, what is the most relevant, what is needed. And hobbies do not fall anywhere on either of those lists. So those are several different ways that you can hide your age on your resume or conceal your age on your resume. Again, this is not to say that you need to be ashamed of your age, but it makes it so that you are less likely to experience or have to deal with age discrimination or ageism during your job search. Go ahead and let me know in the comments below if you found this helpful, and if you plan on making any of these changes to your current resume, if any of these things that I just listed are on there. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, if you learned something new, go ahead and give me a like. Go ahead and hit the like button or the thumbs up button below, and I appreciate you guys watching. If you need assistance with your resume, I am accepting clients for the month of April. You can go ahead and email me directly at hello@thompsonresumes.com, and you can also visit my website at www.thompsonresumes.com. Also, I encourage you to follow me on Instagram at _Mika Thompson. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at Tamika Thompson, and I will go ahead and include a link to my email newsletter down in the description box so that you can subscribe to my email list to also stay in tune with the content that I share to my email list. I will see you all next week with another helpful video. Bye, you guys.